Good morning. Welcome to our Minnesota Crossroads Career Network webinar this morning. Glad you are able to join us. We have a full morning for you, and it's going to be some great content and help for your job search. And we have a number of things that we offer. I think you're mostly all here not to see me, but rather Jen Radke to talk about LinkedIn, and she's going to be joining us here in a little bit, but just want to cover a couple other things in advance. And we're just grateful you're here. It's we do this for the people that are in transition, and hope to be able to offer you some great strategies and ideas and make an impact on your job search, but also to provide some encouragement and hope in the process as well. My name's 𝙤𝙤𝙧. On a volunteer basis, I lead Crossroads Career Network. We have a number of people that volunteer and support this as well, actually over 40 people. And we have a great deal of expertise from the variety of people we have to be able to help in different ways. You know, part of our hope with Crossroads is that along with helping people succeed in their job search, we also talk about bigger issues and point people to the hope and encouragement of Jesus Christ. It should be no surprise that the Bible has a great deal of wisdom for life. And one thing I see very often is that people try to go through their life on their own, especially when they're going through a difficult time. Life wasn't meant to be done without community. We're meant to support each other and to love each other and encourage each other. Scripture says, do not neglect to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another. You know, in life, a church home can be a great source of wisdom, support, and hope. And in a job search, seeking help from others and building community with groups like this one can be a great resource to find your next position. Don't do it alone. Plugging into groups like this can help. Take advantage of the other resources we offer through Crossroads, where you can interact with people and get the encouragement and moral support you need. Now, let me open us in a word of prayer, and then I'm going to introduce Skip Nelson this morning, and he's going to share a little bit as well. Lord, we just thank you for this ability for us to get together. If we're just meeting online, it's still a chance to be able to provide information and help people where they are. We pray that you use this morning for your purposes, that you provide hope and comfort and encouragement to those that need it, and ideas and resources and help for their current circumstances. Thank you, Lord, for all the ways that you do bless us. Sometimes when things are going rough, we forget the many blessings we do have in life. And we just pray that you give us a grateful heart for the way you do take care of us. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. And so with that, I am really glad to have Skip join us. If you've been on our webinars before, you've seen him often. He actually helps lead some of these, and he is just a great help for Crossroads in many, many ways. But he's going to share a little bit about his story this morning, and I hope you find it encouraging. Thanks, Skip.
Good morning. Thanks, Harry. Great to be with you. And I'm going to share a little bit about my story. We've all got one, and so I'll share a little bit about mine, and hopefully there's something in my story that will be of some help to you. I'd like to start with a story before my story. As many of you know, started my own company out of college, ran it for close to 30 years. And when we're in job transition, there's a lot of uncertainty and what are we going to do and what's it going to look like and all that. And so I decided to start my own company out of college. And we started, the first company we started was a carpet cleaning company. And I had a business partner, and a couple of college guys after I graduated didn't know a darn thing about much of anything. So we got some equipment and a van, and we cleaned carpets for a year. And my mom, as only an encouraging mother could say, 4 years of college and my son's becoming a janitor. You know, it was that kind of encouragement that she was a kidder. She was incredibly supportive. But people don't always see what we're doing the same way that we do, or maybe in a positive way. And maybe that influences what we do, is what are people going to think? But at any rate, so we were doing this job at a bank, And I was out there in the lobby, and I'm cleaning carpets away, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I mean, we had started this company out of an idea, out of nothing. And we had a van in the parking lot, and they had our company name on the van and little shirts that had our logo. I mean, it was like a real company. And so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm cleaning away, and this woman comes into the bank, and I could tell by the expression on her face, wasn't having a real good day. And she had about a 5-year-old child on her hand, and it looked like that was a big part of the reason why she wasn't having a particularly good day. And no sooner had she gotten into the bank than the little kid just jerked away from her, and you could see the blood kind of drain from her face. And she grabbed him by the shoulders and she said, "Jimmy, if you don't start behaving yourself, you're going to end up like him." And she pointed to me. So whatever we choose to do, it's not necessarily held in the highest esteem with the general public, but we persevered, and we built a big company, actually a multi-million-dollar company. And I kind of wanted to track her down and say, I see, it wasn't all that bad. I did some pretty good stuff. But that wasn't where my journey began. I actually started as currently a financial advisor for 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙧 and a small business growth coach. I started way before then, and my father actually had been with 𝙤𝙤𝙧. At that point, it was called Lutheran Brotherhood, and this is a picture of my dad giving me my first life insurance policy. So this was way before I was a financial advisor and all, and obviously, I was thrilled at that prospect. You can tell by the expression on my face, just absolutely thrilled. And but as I grew, I had really no interest in the career that my dad had there. And as I mentioned, decided to kind of go off on my own and start my own company. But I found that regardless of what happens in life, sometimes God's actual blessings are not what he gives us, but what he takes away, because he knows best. But I found in job transition, that didn't feel like it was the case, because I decided to be done with my business. I was burned out after 27 years, and it was my choice. And I just thought, I'll just get something real easy. That's not going to be a problem. But it wasn't easy, and it didn't unfold the way I thought, and it wasn't the timing that I thought. I thought it was just going to happen like that, and it didn't. And so the question came up was why? And you might, in your job transition, be asking yourself that, why? Why did I lose my job? Why am I in job transition? Why is it taking so long? Well, we all have a lot of whys in our life. And let me tell you about a few of mine. I started my company, and we had some issues that we are out of our control, some health issues with my business partner and his wife, and other things that happened, and we just needed to be done, but it didn't end the way we wanted it to. And the question was why? In my personal life, I wanted to be married and have kids, and I was kind of married to my business, and I didn't get married until I found my beautiful wife, and get married at 50. I didn't get married till I was 50. And then we wanted kids, and we had tons of issues that it wasn't happening, and medical treatments and everything you can imagine. Why? Well, why is it so difficult to have a child that we so desperately want? And finally, we got pregnant with our son Asher, and such a blessing. And then at age 1, we heard words that no parent ever wants to hear, and it's hard even now to still say it. But with some fevers and things he was experiencing, we had him checked, and the doctor said words that no parent wants to hear: "Your son's got cancer, and he had leukemia." And it was horrifying. Why? This healthy little baby boy, and is he going to die? What's going to happen? And so almost 3 years of treatments and chemo and pumping, just horrible, toxic things into his poor little body, and just ballooning up and not able to sit up. And it was just a terrible journey what you're doing to your poor little kid. Why? Just so many things. And then I got into job transition, and it took way longer than I thought, and it wasn't unfolding the way I wanted. And why? I have a lot to offer. I know I'd be a really good asset to whatever company I would work with. And why is that not happening the way I wanted it to? So I had a lot of whys. And but we keep going. God, I just prayed that I knew God had a plan, and I just sometimes would like to get the memo, right? Maybe you do too. It's like, okay, I know you have a plan, God, but what is it? And so I just kept going. And a couple of Bible verses were helpful to me. Isaiah 55, my thoughts are not your thoughts. And the point with this verse is that God sees things at a level that we can't see, kind of like as a parent, right? If for any of you that are parents, we see things that our kids can't see as an adult, and we make plans and decisions based on things they can't comprehend. Well, God is the same way to us. And just because we don't see it or understand it doesn't mean he doesn't have a plan that's better than we can possibly imagine. And you drew near when I called you. And I found that I needed to reach out and ask God to turn to him. I found that I got into the most trouble when I thought, well, I got this, especially when things were all going great. My business is booming, and we're generating lots of revenue, and our employees are happy and doing well, whatever. Don't need God, right? I got this. Sometimes I would almost find myself feeling, which is ridiculous. It's happened because of God, and any blessing in life is because of God. But I found that I turned to God typically in challenges of life, right? Kind of sad, but I did. And because I needed him. And you know what? Even though sometimes I only turned to him most when I was in need, he was still there. And he's there for you in your job search. And John talked about, to be courageous. God is with you and will help you overcome whatever it is you're overcoming. So as opposed to asking the question, why, we need to ask the question, why not? Whatever your situation is. My son went through that horrible ordeal and came out on the other side and is healthy. He's now 6, but he was named the Twin Cities honored hero for the Leukemia Society, and is doing just great and is healthy and no issues. In my new career as a financial advisor, which I had not even thought of being, I was recognized for 12 months in a row as a top customer service providing, top satisfaction from the clients that I serve, which is just a privilege to help people secure their retirement. And that's been just an honor and a privilege. And this is my why, and my why not. My family that I've been so blessed with, not on my terms, on God's terms, but he had a plan better than I could imagine. My wife, Susan, Asher, and now we're blessed with Maisie at 1 now. Blessings beyond anything I could imagine. So as you're going through job transition and have all those whys that come up, don't let yourself get lost in the why. Turn to God and really ask, why not? Because God's got plans for you better than you can imagine. And I wish you every blessing in your transition. And I can't wait to see what your why not is, and when you land a position better than you can imagine. Amen.
There we go. Thank you, Skip. Really appreciate that. Your story, I mean, I've known it and heard you and I talked about it before, and it helps sometimes to realize that everybody's got their challenges, and some are worse than others, and putting things in perspective of what I might be going through versus what other people face. And I can't imagine anything harder than having a child that's ill like that, and wondering what's going to happen next. But you have gone through that with a sense of peace in your life and understanding that things happen, and but God's walking with you through the whole process. Appreciate that. Next, I'm really glad to be able to introduce Jennifer Radke. She is the CEO and runs NISM, National Institute of Social Media, and she knows a thing or two about LinkedIn and all kinds of other platforms online. And this morning, she's going to be talking about LinkedIn Beyond the Basics. Is that through previous presentations she's done and others, we talk about a lot of basic things about LinkedIn, but she's going to give you a little more of a deep dive to help you figure out how you can use the platform more effectively for your job search. She has some great content, has some great recognition. She talks to companies and individuals, excuse me, all the time to help them improve their social media presence. And I know she's going to have a lot of great information for you this morning. For the next hour, Jennifer, glad to have you join us, and thanks for taking over.
Thank you, Harry. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you again, Skip, for sharing your message and your journey. What an amazing thing to stop and think about the why and how we can take the next step and the next opportunity given us. As Harry said, I'm Jen Radke, or Jennifer, if you want to be formal. I run the National Institute for Social Media. Our primary objective is to train marketing and communications professionals to better utilize social media tools. But in 2012, I found myself in job transition as well. And I was struggling to find resources that really helped utilize the digital technologies that everyone was using in networking and job search. And that's when I actually started training. I got certified as a social media strategist and continued training. And I am really excited to be with you all today. Because it's early morning and some of us still are on our first cup of coffee, I would love it if everybody would take a second and jump in the chat and share where you're joining us from today. And also, if you have a specific question about LinkedIn that you'd like to know about. But most importantly, just let us know where you're joining from today so that we can get a kind of a view of who's all here. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. So if you've seen me speak before, I don't have a traditional PowerPoint today. We're going to go straight into LinkedIn and we're going to navigate around and look at some important pieces and help you kind of understand how to take it to that next level. So, all right, we've got Eden Prairie, Jordan, Woodbury, Wayzata, Kentucky. Welcome, Julie. Covington, Louisiana. Fantastic. Thanks, Ryan. All right. I love that we've got some folks that aren't right here in our backyard. I'm in Farmington, Minnesota, and I have been working remote since before it was COVID cool. And I love the opportunities that we have now to connect with a wider audience. So digital and taking things virtual has not all been bad. So great. Coral, thanks for jumping in. All right, we're going to pull up LinkedIn. Now, you should be seeing my LinkedIn platform. Don't panic. Your eyes are not deceiving you. The very first thing you may notice is that mine is in dark mode. So it's showing up black instead of the very white background with black letters. I wanted to show you guys all this because if you're getting fatigued, you can turn almost all of your social platforms into dark mode. I currently just have LinkedIn there because I spend a lot of time here reading longer form content or profiles. And so it's one way for me to kind of adjust my eyes. So one of the things I want to start out by showing you guys is where you can find this, as well as walking through some of your privacy settings. So when you log into LinkedIn, if you go to the top bar and you click on the Me section, and you scroll down to Settings and Privacy. When you're there, if you start out at the top with Account Preferences, it will show up here in the center as dark mode. So you can choose your device settings between light and dark mode. So if you like that, that's something that you can do. While we're here, if you haven't already, you should spend a few minutes going through your profile and looking at your settings and preferences, most specifically, your visibility. Are you viewing other people's LinkedIn profiles in private mode? I don't. And part of the reason that I don't is because it helps network. If people can see that I'm looking at their profile because they came up in search or I'm curious about the company they work for, they're more likely to return the favor and come find out who I am and what I'm about. And if there is some commonality there, then we can connect, right? So it's kind of one of those more passive pieces, okay? You can also decide how your profile looks to people who are not yet logged into LinkedIn, but are finding you through like a Google or a Bing search. Your LinkedIn profiles are visible outside of LinkedIn. And so you can kind of set how much people can see. You can set how much people or who can see your email addresses, if people can see your connections, if people can see who you follow. So there's really some good things in this piece that allow you to set up your profile the way you want it to be. All right, we're going to go back to LinkedIn. So Harry mentioned this right away. Today is kind of a beyond the basics. So we're not going to talk a lot about the individual pieces within your profile that you need to maximize. If you want that information, I know that on the Crossroads YouTube site is a video of a session that I did just a couple of months ago that walks you through how to build that social media profile. But today I want to talk about some of those little nuances that kind of take it to the next level, okay? And thank you all for your comments. Chris, great question. How do you balance having too much info in LinkedIn for security reasons versus getting visibility? We're going to touch on that in just a second. Okay. So the first piece I want to start with is search. One of the fantastic things that LinkedIn allows us to do is look for opportunities for us to connect with individuals, but also to follow or learn about companies that we might be interested in. And it is as easy as entering something into our search bar. If we happen to know someone's name, we can start from there and we can just start typing, right? The name until the person we want to see shows up in our list. If we don't know fully how they spell that last name, you can stop and hit all search results. It's going to bring up a much larger list for us. I bring up this larger list because I want to show you how you can narrow down and filter through this list. So when I do a very minimal search, it brings up not only a few people that fit my list or fit my search parameters, but also posts that might fit my search parameters. And then if we scroll down, there's additional people. Sometimes you'll even see companies that will show up. But this doesn't necessarily go deeper into what I'm looking for, right? So I can use the top navigation bar across to say I do want people, but I want to make that even more specific. I only want people in specific locations. So if it's not showing up, I can start typing and I can say I want to look at Minnesota. And now this Harry is coming up. Now, strangely, Harry Erdschl is not coming up. And I wonder if I click my first connections, if it doesn't. He should, right? But for some reason, because I didn't choose him in that first bar, because that's who they gave me first, the algorithm is automatically assuming I'm looking for someone other than Harry that I'm connected to, right? So that's why that didn't show up that way. But you can filter this down. You can look at current company. You can also go to all filters and you can start to add things. Are they connections of someone that I know? What is a past company that they might have worked for? Did you go to school together? You can really look at all of these pieces. And now you can look at things that people might be open to, joining a board, consulting, volunteering, or services. So you can really filter down your search into a very detailed array of content and information. Okay, I'm going to clear this out because I want to bring that main list back up. So one of the things we do talk about in the basic version is how it's important for you to put a headshot in here. And what you'll see is that several of these folks in my third line don't have a photo that come up. It could be a privacy setting. They could have said, you only get to see my picture if we're within X connections or we're first line connected. But likely it is someone who hasn't uploaded it yet. Okay. Now somebody asked about, Joanne, I think you asked about the circles that show up, the half circles that show up underneath someone's name. And I'm going to see if I can find one as an example to tell you, or to make sure I'm looking at what you're talking about. But when you're in search like this, sometimes people will have either a green, like this one here, a green half circle underneath. The green one signifies that they're open to work. So it is identifying for you right there on the image that they are looking for new opportunities to work. The other one is a purple signature or a purple banner like that. And I'm not sure, those are a little harder to find, but those folks are hiring. So that's what those half circles are at the bottom. Okay. Very good. Okay, so Joanne, you've mentioned you're noticing them in your LinkedIn feed. They are small circles that are either filled or not. Oh, here. Yeah, so this is a signification of whether they're online or not right now. So like mine is filled, and it means that I'm online and you can send me a message. Not everyone has them, and I don't know if that's because it's just rolling out now or if there's something else there. So sorry to confuse you there. Okay, good. So let's talk a little bit about what to include, back to Chris's question around security reasons versus getting visibility. I realize that a lot of people have situations where they don't necessarily want to be found, or don't want people to know what city or they live in. You have some flexibility, right? You could put an entire state as your location, or you could put like the greater Minneapolis-St. Paul area so that they don't know, which town you live in. When you're talking about experience and you're putting in the companies you work for, that's a little bit harder because people can identify, especially if it's a smaller organization and there's only one location, they can more easily identify where you might work there. The value of putting those things in there oftentimes does outweigh the risks, but everyone has to take that to their own personal level of comfort. Then if you're thinking about things that are proprietary information, you never want to share proprietary information on any digital platform, this one included. So you want to think about ways to highlight your experience and your expertise without giving away, I did this project for this company and saved them this much money, right? And so it might be a way of picking an article and sharing your thoughts on said article without being specific to the organization in which you work for. Okay. And that actually leads me into the next kind of advanced tip. Usually when we're in the basics, we really want to focus on putting our profile together and making it stand out. But once we've done that, we can't assume, hey, I've built it, so they will come, right? We really need to be active and engaging. I had a consultation with a woman yesterday, and she said, but I kind of feel bad when I post something and nobody responds to it. You know, I say something and maybe I have a question or I put out a poll and I get like 1 or 2 people who actually respond. I want to tell you that if you haven't been active on LinkedIn before now, it's going to take a little bit of time to build up to where people are seeing what you post in your feed, in their feed, right? So the first time you share something, it might only be seen by 20 or 25 people. But the next time you share something, more people will see that. The next time someone engages, likes or comments on it, then additional people will see that as well. So my point is, try not to measure yourself against someone who posts a lot and has, you know, hundreds of reactions. Instead, try to measure what you put out as a growth for yourself. Am I expanding my audience? Did someone new comment or react to it? Did it help me start conversation with someone else? One of the things that I really want to highlight that you can do when you're posting here is you can tag individuals that you want to talk about, right? So let's say I wanted to say that I was having a great morning with the Crossroads group, and I want to thank Skip and Harry, right? So you'll notice I started with the @ symbol and I started typing Skip, but nothing came up yet. So I want to add my underscore and then keep that conversation going from there. Skip, you're going to have to tell me or remind me what's your last name. I forgot it all of a sudden. So I'm going to
Nelson.
Nelson. There we go. So typically, when I start tagging like this, it should show up. It's not yet. And one of the reasons is up here. I haven't set the audience open. Right now it's set to a very specific group, and because Skip's not in that group, I can't tag him. So I need to go back and set it to everyone. Now, since I've typed the @ symbol with Skip's name, it shows up even though he and I are not level 1 connections. And I can click on his name, and now you'll notice it's slightly bolder than the rest of the text. And I want to have that so that when people come to this post, they can automatically link to either Skip or Harry and see their profiles, because these are now what you call hyperlinked. You can do this with businesses as well. I don't recommend that you just randomly tag 50 of your closest friends on every post. But when you are talking about someone, it's great to tag them in it because 1, they get a notification that you've done that, so they can go back and engage with you in that conversation. 2, their audience now sees your post as well. So not just your audience, the people you're connected to, but the people that they're connected to. So it opens you up to networking with additional people. And that can be a really positive outcome. Okay. Anyone have any questions on the tagging piece? If you do, feel free to set it up in chat. Okay. In addition to posting your own thought leadership, in the same section at the top of your feed, you have the option to add a photo, a video, say that you're hiring by adding a job, and then write an article. Write an article is for folks who want to share their own thought leadership. It's like using LinkedIn as your own personal blog. Okay. The great thing about it is it's housed here on LinkedIn, but is still searchable in Google or Bing search engines that are out there. But you can tell that you have options. Now, I manage several pages, so I can publish as someone else on this blog, but I'm just going to use it as myself. That's what most of you will see. But what you'll see about it when you click on that write an article is it doesn't look the same as your status updates. Status updates should be fairly short. I know some of them are getting a little bit longer and story-like, and that's okay, but this is meant for that longer form content, maybe 500 plus words, where you want to have a title or the headline of your blog. You can add a cover image to the blog post. It's going to automatically add your author bio, and then you can write and add images or video just like you would for a traditional blog before you publish. If you are someone who wants to share your thought leadership in this way, and writing is really powerful for you, fantastic. Personally, I do this very infrequently because I can't keep up with my own business blog, let alone have a second here. And it's just not my strongest skill set. But if you do choose to use this tool, it can be seen by folks outside of your network. And it is a wonderful way to show your knowledge, your expertise, and your thought leadership with a wider audience. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to the main page. In addition to those that show up right away, if you hit the start a post, you have additional options. You can add documents. You can celebrate an occasion, and LinkedIn will actually walk you through it. So you can say, I want to welcome someone to the team, I want to give kudos to somebody, I've launched a new project, I have a work anniversary, or I started a new job, which is what we hope you all can post here shortly. And LinkedIn will even offer you some images to put with that. In addition, you can create a poll where you ask a question and folks can answer that via a polling mechanism. And anytime you see the ... it's additional options. So you can add events to LinkedIn, offer to help people with something, tell people you're looking for an expert in a certain area, and really get deep into what you have for options. Please don't hear me wrong. You don't have to do this, every one of these, but you have flexibility. A lot of people get stuck in what to write or share. And I'm just here to tell you there is a huge variety of things that you could be putting out there that add value to your audience and still show your knowledge and expertise. Okay. And Joanne, I hope the further explanation helps. The poll is not within write an article. It's actually here under the create a poll in your status update piece. Okay. Fantastic. I encourage folks in job transition to try to add content by sharing an article or a thought or a poll or whatever they might have 2 to 3 times a week. And I know for some of you, you had minor heart attacks. Take a deep breath. It's okay. Start with 1 if you're not posting here enough, and then just build up. 2 to 3 times a week is not going to inundate people and get them bored of your content. But if you are genuinely reading industry information and doing research on companies and things every day, which is something I would encourage in the job transition, you should find or have articles that you can share. I simply go to Google every once in a while and just look what's happening in social media, what's the latest news. And I pull out an article that makes sense on something that's updated or changed. I add a few sentences to why I think that's helpful, or I'm not sure where it's going to land. And then that's the information that I share out. In addition to that, you should work to engage with other people's content. So my friend Chris here has posted an update with his thoughts on social support, learning culture. There's an image to it. There is no link for me to read. So I can just read his information and context and respond if it's something that moves me and fits my brand. I don't have to respond to everything. I can choose what I respond to. Okay. But it's really important to think through how we're engaging. Remember when I was up here and I started a post and I had to change it from a group to anyone? You can also join groups and then post specifically in those groups, which is really nice to open up your networking outside of your current connections. It allows you to connect with maybe project managers or hiring managers from larger organizations. And yes, they might be diverse as far as location, but it can help you connect with that larger audience and find folks maybe in your local neighborhood who have opportunities for you. Okay. I see a question on search, so I just wanted to check this real quick. Okay, so how do you close your LinkedIn? Because you have more than one, so you can start from fresh. That's going to be within your privacy settings. You have to dig in pretty detailed, and I'll have to get the exact because they move it around on you a lot. So you have to deactivate the old ones in order to get them to disappear. And so you want to go in and do that. If you don't have email or passwords anymore for old accounts, you won't be able to. You'll have to send an email to LinkedIn support and ask them, and they may ask you for authentication to prove that those were you. So the best way really to see someone find your new one is to make that new one the most desirable one that you have. So that's where you fill out each of your profile sections and you start posting. So that one comes to the top. LinkedIn automatically kind of looks at each of the profiles within its algorithm and says, nobody's on here very often. And so, Susie over here, we're just not going to show this one first because they're not here very frequently. So that is the other way to do it. Thoughts on fully spelled last name and using a first letter to identify you. I recommend the fully spelled out last name. It's the best way for people to make sure they have found you. If, however, you have some privacy concerns and you don't want everyone to find you via that full last name, then you can use the first initial. But I typically say that you spell it all the way out. Okay. Fantastic questions. All right. So we've covered posting and tagging and how to write an article. We've talked a little bit about search. I mentioned groups, and you can find groups in one of two ways. You can put in here the type of group you're looking for. So for example, we could say IT and go into those search results. And then across this top, we can toggle over to groups. Okay. Oh, LinkedIn has an error, so we can try again or come back later. The second option is to go over to this work tab on the upper right-hand corner. When we open the work tab, it allows us a few additional icons here. The groups icon is where you can go to now see groups. It's going to first default to the groups that you're already a member of. And currently, I believe you can be a member of up to 50 different groups. It's also going to show you groups that you've requested. I don't have any that are pending at the moment, but when I go under there, I can see the Discover tab, where I can find other trusted communities that share and support my goals. And so they'll bring up ones they think are best for me based on my other groups. And I can go into filters and sort. Oh, there's no additional filters there. So I can go through and look through these and see what might work for me. If I'm looking for a specific group, that search bar is the place to go. Okay. Like I mentioned, groups are a great way for you to connect with people outside of your network. So for example, if I go into the social media today group, there's, almost, what did I see? It had 180,000. So I'm only connected to about 6,000 people. So I can go through here. I can respond to other people's content that they've shared in this group, or I could share my own. And now it's being seen by a much wider industry of experts in an area where I want to be connected. Okay, so they can be very, very helpful. You might find out that you have a group and you get in there and the last post is a month ago and nobody responded to it. And the post before that was 3 months earlier. It's okay, just leave that group and go back into finding something that fits your needs. Okay. Networking is the name of the game for LinkedIn. We want to connect with more people. If we find someone that we do want to connect with, it's important that we personalize our invitations. We want to make sure that we're giving people a reason to connect with us. I get so many invitation requests, and strangely, I don't have any right now to show you because I just cleaned it out earlier this week, but I get things all over the board. Sometimes it's as simple as hoping to connect, which to me gives me no incentive to click the accept because I don't know why they want to connect, right? I also get things where they want to give me compliments. Oh, you have such an impressive profile. And then they start to tell me how they can fix it for me. Okay, probably not going to connect with that person because they're selling to me right away. So we want to make sure that we tie in something of value to them when we send out that connection request. So I'm going to pull up, I'm going to do my search again for Jeff Johnson. I'm going to find someone I'm not currently connected to. Okay. If I want to connect to this Jeff Johnson and I'm on his page, I can hit the connect button and it's going to offer me the opportunity to personalize my invitation. I want to do that. Okay. I want to say, hey, Jeff, I see you're the president at National Partnership. I'd love to connect with you and learn more about the work that you do and see if there's an opportunity for us to collaborate or something of that nature. If you're looking for a job opportunity and you're connecting with somebody at a company that you have your eye on, ask them what they like about working there. Don't start by saying, I'm looking for a job and I really want to work for 3M. Ask them, I see you worked for 3M and that's a company I'm interested in learning more about. Would you be willing to connect so we could talk briefly and I hear about your experience? People like to talk about themselves, okay? But it takes a minute or two to just look at their profile and decide, why might I want to connect, and then personalize that invitation. Okay. If you find someone, and let me go to people outside of my current network here for a second. If you find situations where it says, I can't connect, I just have to message that person, I want to show you a little trick. Go into their profile, go to the More button, and here you have the opportunity to connect and still add a private note and customize that. There have been situations where people aren't offered the opportunity to add a note on their mobile device, but usually that is from this section where you just hit connect right off the bat here. If you go into their actual profile, it should always allow you the opportunity to add a personal note. Just have to not go through it too fast. Okay. All right. So networking is the name of the game. And then content is what's going to help you be visible. There are all kinds of different things you can share in terms of content, as we mentioned before. You have to think through what makes you comfortable and also elaborates or shares more about your personal brand and the things you might bring to a company. And by that, I don't mean a sales pitch, but I mean, if you're going for a training opportunity or a training position, doing a video here or there can be a huge benefit because people can see your presentation skills. Okay. If you are a content creator or a thought leader, you might want to set up your profile so it has this section underneath your headline where it says that I talk about, and there are up to 5 different hashtags that you can add here. The only way you can add this section to your profile is if you turn your profile into creator mode. Creator mode is down underneath this resources section. You can turn it on or off. Mine is on right now. So if you all went to my personal profile and wanted to connect with me, it would actually give you the option to follow first. And then you'd have to go to the More button off to the side in order to send me a connection request. The follow button means that you'll see my content, but we're not actually connected. You need to take that step to go to the connect section. I didn't turn that on so that people wouldn't connect with me. I do encourage you all to reach out and connect, but it's an opportunity for me to tell people what I talk about. Okay. In addition, when you're in this section of your profile, you'll notice that I've added a few pieces that you maybe have never seen or you're not sure how to do. One is this little sound button. This is a pronunciation of my name. It used to be only on mobile. I'm just going to check my edit button. Nope, you can do it on nope, you have to do it on your phone. But you can, on your phone, when you're in the LinkedIn app, you can give it an audio recording of how your name is pronounced, so that if you have a super tricky name, people can hear that and not have the embarrassment of saying it wrong when they see you. You can also add your pronouns if you wish. And then you'll see that I've got a little kind of bluish, purplish ring around my profile picture. This is because I added a video to my profile here, where if you click that, we can view that profile video. You as a user can go to my profile and see that video as well, but it always resorts back to the headshot. So that is kind of the standing piece. You can only add that in the audio recording of your name via your mobile device on the LinkedIn app. Okay. But those are great little pieces to show folks that you really know what you're doing on LinkedIn, and give them some additional insight into who you are. You can also add if you're providing services, if you're hiring, or if you're looking for work, you can tell people what kind of work you're looking for and set this up so people can see different things in your platform. Okay. So I'm checking over some great questions coming in. The video is going to show up underneath my headshot, Ryan. So the one that I've taken from my mobile device, it's going to show up under this headshot piece. If I hit play, it'll show up here. Okay, so it switches over to, sorry, turn that off, it's loud. I can set it up there. If you want to just add video to your post, that would be in what I showed earlier as far as your updates. The indicator is the circle, the skinny circle that doesn't say open to work or hiring around their headshot. So you can see if they have a video that way. Okay. So Joanne, you asked if my LinkedIn was more attractive, would that help me be more attractive networking partner for others? My short answer is yes, but there are a couple of things that make it more attractive for folks. One, having a complete profile really lets people know, one, that you use the platform well and that you're open to different opportunities because you are fully utilizing all of the profile sections, and they make you more attractive that way. But the second piece really is your connections. Let me give you an example in my industry. If somebody is going to hire a marketing professional, and let's say specifically digital marketing, online media like social, and they only have 100 connections on LinkedIn versus a candidate over here with equal experience in education that is connected to 3,000 people on LinkedIn, that person with 3,000 is more attractive to me as a business owner and as a networking partner because their pond has more fish in it, right? So there are a couple of different things there that make you an attractive partner for networking. Having a profile complete is one. Being active and posting content and letting people know the type of person that you are and the value you bring is another. And I would say third is your connections. Okay. Another great question, are there ways you can identify people that will network? Oh, that's a really good one. You know what? One of the things that I do, in addition to kind of looking at their profile and sending over a personalized request, is I do tend to scroll down to their activity section. And I go in and look and see if they're only posting their own stuff or if they are commenting and engaging with other people. The folks that have liked or commented on other people's posts are probably more likely to network than folks who only put out a post once every month and never like or engage or comment on anything else. Because they're active here. So they're going to see your networking request and they're more likely to understand the value of it. So that would be kind of another layer that you could add. Okay. It's also very acceptable to write a post as a status update. Now, if you're in job transition, but you're still at a company, you don't necessarily want to say, hey, y'all, I'm looking for a new job, right? Because then your current company could see that and may not love that. But let's just say you positioned it differently. Maybe you're a project manager. You could start a post in your update here and say, calling all project managers. I'm looking for professional networking opportunities. I want to grow. I want to learn what opportunities are around in the metro area, and where you guys are learning, right? Where you're learning, who you're learning from, that kind of stuff. So you put it in there as a professional development piece, and you ask them specifically to comment if they're interested in having a conversation or to message you or connect with you. You can be that blatant about it and really encourage people to have that conversation. Okay, so that's a great question. All right, we only have a couple of more minutes, about 10 more minutes or so. So keep those questions coming. Sorry, I'm just looking. There's another question that came in. Never would have guessed. Could you touch on having a full profile, but disabling indexing on all search engines? And perhaps that's even job search engines. Recently requested to be removed from 15 personal information aggregators. Oh, that's, so Ryan, if I am understanding correctly, you're not necessarily disconnecting LinkedIn from the companies that you've worked for, but you've been picked up on those personal information sites, those white pages that people can go to, and you're asking to be disconnected from there. I have never taken that step. What I have out here in my world is what I want people to be able to see, right? And so I share that information fairly willingly, because I want to connect and network and grow. But yeah, you can try to disconnect and have it not be shown to aggregators. The chances of you showing up on like Google search, if you set your privacy settings down, is much more limited, right? So if you go into the Me settings and go into settings of privacy, you can make it more anonymous, so that you're not searchable off of LinkedIn. That would be one of the best ways to utilize that on the LinkedIn tool itself. Okay. So Joanne, very great. So explain the follow or connect. Some people only accept followers. So that was what I was describing earlier with me. So if you guys right now looked me up and went to my profile, it's going to say as my primary over here where this gentleman, Jeff, has connect, mine is going to say follow. Follow means that you get to see my content and what I put out there, but you and I are not connected, right? We don't have that back and forth or two-way connection. You're simply following me, which we do that a lot for pages. You can, however, connect with them by going over into the more section and going down to, it would be here under where the follow is right now, connect. Okay, so there are ways to connect. So like with me, I encourage you all to send me a connection request if you're interested. But you'd have to find it through the more button. And the difference is if we're connected, you and I have the ability to message each other back and forth at no cost, right? So there's no additional fees for the in-mail messages because we are connected. You will show up in my feed, I can show up in your feed. And we also now have opened the pool of second and third level connections. Because you and I are first level connections, we have opened up our pool of second and third level connections to each other. If you follow me, you're just able to consume my content. Okay. All right, Skip. If someone wanted to ID small business owners from their contacts, how would they do so? So It really just depends a little bit on how the small business owner identifies themselves. So it might be in the search bar using things as owner, founder, CEO, and then trying to narrow that down. The other way is to go in and search companies of a certain size and try to narrow your search that way. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. Okay. There are some tools that LinkedIn gives you in order to kind of measure your effectiveness and show you whether or not you're showing up in search. You'll see them highlighted here on my left side of the screen. I can see a number of people who viewed my profile. I can also see the impressions, which means the number of people who possibly saw one of my most recent posts. If we click into who's viewed my profile, it will show me the last 90 days. Okay. I have the ability to narrow this down a little bit. I do not pay for LinkedIn Premium, so I can only see the last, 5 to 7 typically people who will allow me to see them. This person here, somebody at Linked VA, has viewed me anonymously. Okay. But I can see these other folks who have looked at my profile recently. And if I want to, I can go out and ask them to connect or send them a message, okay? Or go to their profile specifically. It's great to check this out once in a while, every couple of days maybe, especially as you really start building, because if you're not paying for premium, it's a great way to get a feel for who's looking at you and whether or not they're looking at you for the right things, okay? You can divide or try to go through, and see more of these things, but they're going to want you to subscribe to premium. And I just don't. If you have the job seeker premium, then it can be helpful. If you click on like how many found you through LinkedIn search, it may give you the words they used to find you. And there you can identify trends. If they're looking for you with the words operations manager, and you're a strategic communications professional, then you may want to go back and look at your profile and say, how much information in here screens operations versus strategic communications, okay? When you're in your profile yourself, you can also see some analytics here. And then there are additional resources where you can go in and you can save items and keep track of jobs you're looking at, courses you're taking, things like that. Okay. All right, I see a couple of additional pieces. So Ryan, I don't know of a lot of recruiters that are utilizing search indexing to find out, where you've lived and who your relatives have been. There might be some, especially if you're looking at jobs that are highly, have high levels of security, where they may look at things like that. Some pieces of information are public record, and I don't know that you can get all of those scrubbed. So for example, if you've owned property, those will be all indexed and searched by the searchable by the counties in which you've owned that property. So there's few ways, and that might be why you're also seeing a vehicle that may have come up on some search because there's more public records. But I don't think employers are using that tool very often, if they're using it much at all. I'll let Harry or Skip speak to that if they have seen different pieces there. Joanne, that's a great question. How often do I provide these discussions? Harry asked me to come on every so often. You can also find past ones on YouTube, both on the Crossroads YouTube channel, as well as the National Institute for Social Media's channel. In addition, I'll let you guys know, and I didn't mention this to you before, Harry, but I don't think you'll mind. I do a free LinkedIn profile review, about 30 minutes, where I just kind of walk through your individual profiles. And I don't sell you anything because I don't do LinkedIn coaching as a job, right? So if you guys are interested in having a LinkedIn profile review, you can schedule something on my calendar and I'd be happy to take a look. Okay. All right, so that was a lot of information. And I know I clicked around a little bit quickly. And so if you're more a beginner into the area, it might have been too fast and I apologize, but take a piece or two and take a look at your profile and figure out how you can implement a few of these pieces and really drive to build your presence on LinkedIn, build your ability to connect and network and collaborate with others so that you are that valuable person, like Joanne, you were saying, that people want to connect with. Mari, the profile review is free. It's just an offer that I do. I don't pitch you anything. It's just something that I offer. All right. If there aren't any additional questions at the moment, Harry, I think my hour has come to a close.
You certainly can go over, but great information. And just to kind of address a couple of the questions that came up that you referenced very well, but in the job search, it's my perspective, and I realize everybody has to make their own decisions on this, but you want to be exposed more, not less. You want people to be able to find you wherever they can and become aware of stuff. Do you get occasionally stuff that is not related to the kind of work you're doing? Yes, but I'd rather have to delete emails that aren't relevant but be seeing opportunities rather than become a stealth job hunter and not get any responses or see any requests at all. And so dealing with a little bit of spam here and there is not the end of the world. And in terms of the other question of, do recruiters dig into your background to find all kinds of other information and private information? Frankly, recruiters don't have enough time in the day to really do that. I mean, if you're in process on a position with them already, they may want to dig in just so there's no surprises. I have had situations where I found out that person had significant pornography out on their websites, and that was egg on my face when I'm presenting that to an employer. I've found others that had been in prison, and you want to be aware of those things in advance, but for the most part, recruiters are not spending time just hunting through people's backgrounds. They're looking for good candidates and want to reach out to them. I've been recruiting for 30 some years, and I wish I had the luxury of time to spend a lot more on that, but I don't.
Right. Well, and I love your examples, Harry. When I first started in social media, I Googled myself, and I had been in higher education for 15 years, and we didn't do a lot with social media at that time. And I was not the first person who come up on Google. It was a very scantily clad woman. And I was like, that is not me. And so one of the things that you can do to kind of bury those things that you don't want to see, those other people, is by posting and being active. Now, if you Google my name, it's usually me or a real estate agent from Chicago who shows up, and that other person has been buried. So,
you bring up a great point. This was several years ago, but I had someone in one of my Crossroads classes who had a very unique ethnic name. And if you Googled his name, he would come up usually on the second or third page somewhere. But the other person with his exact name, happened to be also a producer of porn films in Los Angeles, and he was all over the place. And so he would go, the guy in my class would bring it up in interviews just jokingly. If you Google me, you're going to find somebody that just want to make clear that's not me, and you never know. So if you haven't Googled yourself in the past, it's a good idea. Just be aware of what's out there. If you have a very common name like Bill Smith, you're probably not going to find yourself, much less anything else really significant. But if you have a unique name, be aware of who else is out there. Oddly enough,
be able to bury those celebrities, but
yeah, right.
You can try.
I consider myself generally a unique name. There's actually multiple other Harry Urschels out there, which is mind-boggling to me. But there's one actually here in Hudson, Wisconsin, and so it's a small world sometimes. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. There were some great reminders in there, and as you were talking, I went back to my LinkedIn profile to say, wait a minute, what settings do I have on this or that? And it's just good to keep up with those and make sure that you have things set as you want. And so you gave some great advice and great insight into how people are viewing your information. Take advantage of her free LinkedIn review. That's a great opportunity to get some further insight into your own profile and take advantage of that whenever you can. And I'm a big fan of free, so do that. I want to talk to you about other free things that we have to offer through Crossroads. Let me run through what's available to you. I certainly encourage you to take advantage of all you can. The more help and ideas and resources and encouragement you can get through your job search is take advantage of that as you can to make it go as quickly and as smoothly as possible. Let me share my slides here, and I'll run through a few things quickly. So if you, as you had to sign up for, registered for this webinar this morning, as you entered your address for us, if this is the first time you're joining us on a webinar, you're going to be receiving in the next few days a copy of this book, How Long, O Lord, How Long, written by Dale Kreinkamp. He's become a friend, and he's gone through his own transition that has really taught him a lot about how to rely on God through this. And there's a great index in the back of that to really look up, what challenges am I facing today that that this can address. And so that'll be coming for free as a gift from Crossroads, and we're grateful to be able to provide that for you. You had to be on our website to register for this in the first place, but really encourage you to spend some time on the site and explore all the other resources and help we have available. We have a job board where companies that know what we offer through Crossroads know that great people participate in Crossroads, and they post positions to be able to attract some of those people. So check out what's there. I mean, obviously we don't have the same volume of positions posted on there like Indeed or anything, but we do get several new positions a week. They vary from hourly jobs up through senior executive roles and everything in between. And so check it out and take advantage of what's there. But we have a lot more listed specifics for events, resources, and much more. So spend some time on the website and take advantage of what's there. When we meet in person, we have 3 locations around the Twin Cities: Eden Prairie, Woodbury, and Arden Hills. I'm hoping that someday soon, probably maybe this fall, we'll be able to get back to in-person meetings. And then you can attend whatever location is closest to you and be able to take advantage of our resources there. On a weekly basis, though, we do have all kinds of other things available to you. At 9 o'clock every Thursday morning, so following this webinar, we have our Networking with Grace group, which is networking with other people in the group to be able to trade leads and ideas and contacts to help your job search along. You can sign up for that as every week or as often as you like. Wes Tang and Wes Roper, we call them Wes 1 and Wes 2, lead that group, and they do a tremendous job to make sure people feel encouraged, but that everybody walks out with something each week. And so check it out, take advantage of that as often as you can. If you'd like to spend some time one-on-one with somebody to talk through your situation, to perhaps review your resume, prepare for an interview, do some mock interview practice, whatever you'd like to talk about regarding your job search, you can sign up online and one of our volunteers will follow back up with you and set up a time to talk either by Zoom meeting or by phone call, whatever you prefer. And you can get a chance to walk through your situation with somebody in person. And so that's a great resource. We also have a great team of people that love to pray for you, that have a great gift to be able to pray for others and care about people's situation through their job search. You can find the sign up page for that online, but we also have beyond that our soul care team, that if you really feel like you need some more spiritual and moral support from somebody on a little more of an ongoing basis and through meetings, you can set that up as well. So find the information and sign up online. The meat and potatoes where you can get the most in-depth help and ongoing support is through our online classes. We have small group classes, generally 8 weeks long, that cover every aspect of a successful job search, starting with attitude and getting in the right frame of mind. And we have you take some assessments and talk a lot about networking and targeting companies. We talk about resume best practices and interviewing skills and negotiating, selecting the right job, and so much more. And as much as the content is really strong and helpful to give you fresh ideas each week on how you can do your job search more effectively, I really believe that weekly light accountability, encouragement from others, working as a team to get through this process as successfully as possible is as important. That moral support really makes a difference. And throughout the 8 weeks, we talk about God's perspective of your job search and your life as well. New classes start monthly. You can see the details on our website and sign up there. They're free, and so take advantage of that. It's really goes much more in depth than what we can do on the webinars, and it really is great to work as a team with others to get that support throughout the process. I really believe that if you're not in one of the classes, you're missing out on really the greatest help you can get through Crossroads. So take advantage of it. Join our LinkedIn group. If you put in MN Crossroads Career Network in the search box on top, you'll find us, and you can sign up and we'll get you approved to be in the group. There are over 2,000 people, well over 2,000 people in the group. And the vast majority of those are, overwhelming majority of those are people that have been through Crossroads in the past, landed in new positions at new companies, and are willing to be resources for you. And this is a great way you can give back after you land, is just be available for others to reach out to you to get some advice and insight into the company you're at. Perhaps you're willing to refer them for specific jobs, entirely up to you. But it's a great way to get help and then be of help later as you land into your new job as well. So join our LinkedIn group. There's also all kinds of postings for upcoming events and job postings and resources that people put in the information people put into the group as well. This webinar and all of our previous ones get posted on our YouTube channel. And so again, if you put MN Crossroads Career Network in the YouTube search box, you'll find us and you can review any of our previous webinars there. And so it's a great way to stay up to date with what's been going on and get information you may have missed from watching the webinar in the first place. So check that out. As an additional resource, 𝙤𝙤𝙣 has just been a great partner for us. They've supported us financially and in all kinds of other ways over the last several years. And one of the things they do that I think adds a lot of value is there's 3 regular monthly webinars on financial considerations during job transition. Talk about budgeting, about how to deal with your 401ks, how to plan for the gap in income you may have, and gives you some great help and resources to do that. Talking about what's happening in the economy as well. And so see the website for schedules and details on that. You can sign up there. I really encourage you to take advantage of that. Actually, Skip Nelson, who you heard earlier, leads those. And he's not boring to listen to, which helps. so you can check that out and sign up online. I just want to acknowledge there's nothing that happens with Crossroads because of 1 or 2 people. We have over 40 that volunteer in one way or another, and I'm grateful for each one of them. We have a lot of expertise that's brought to the table. We have a lot of different gifts that people offer and help make all the things happen through Crossroads. So I'm grateful for the support we have. If you don't have a church home, I encourage you to check out one of the churches that affiliates with us with Crossroads. We have Woodbury Lutheran, North Heights Church up in Arden Hills, and Grace Church in Eden Prairie. You can find all the details on the individual websites, and it's a great way to get plugged in and get some spiritual and moral support, and a community that can come around you to support you through your challenging time now and for you and your family later. Really glad you were able to join us this morning. I hope it was worthwhile. Jennifer had a lot of great information, and hope that you can join us again for future opportunities. Better yet, I hope you get a job this week and you don't need to come back, but encourage you to help others through this process as well. Thank you, and have a great remaining day. Take care.